I'm just going to do a really simple mix of some colors that I did recently that people really seem to enjoy. And so I thought I'd share it with you and maybe we could do a piece of art. Okay, it's an unusual mix and unusual in that rather than using traditional purple and green, I'm using the fluorescent violet, Liquitex fluorescent violet, and I'm using Viridian white, black. These are gouache, but I do have an outlier that's going to come into the mix later, and that's going to be this green gold that I'm going to use instead of a yellow, because I think we can get some really nice celery colors without completely corrupting the green. Okay, let's see what happens. I'm not a real good palette knife artist, but I think that we'll try this over here. Here's the purple, here's the black, the white, and the Viridian, or you can use phthalo. I have this on in a Chinese food container with paper towels underneath it that are wet. This is not new. A lot of people do this using the shop towels, which are blue, and they work very well. However, I like to mix my color on white, and the blue disturbs my vision. So I use the expensive Bounty towels, but you could use any kind of paper towel that will work. And then I put a piece of parchment paper over it, or some people use like baking paper. Okay. I use whatever I have around that's like that. All right, it'll work. All right, so here's the purple. Pretty, huh? And I will use my shop paper towels to wipe off my palette knife. Here's the Viridian. I think you know what black and white looks like. But maybe what I'll do right now is just add this green gold down here so we won't forget. But I don't think I'm going to play with it just yet. There it is. It's not really the correct knife for this, but I mess my knives up all the time because I leave them in water and they get rusty. So don't do that at home. That is green gold. I prefer the golden green gold. However, Liquitex makes one, and so does Liquitex Basics has one, and Golden has a heavy bodied one as well. Okay, so all right, so let's see what happens if I mix, a little bit, just a little bit of the white on this side with the purple. Obviously, I'm going to get different degrees of lavender. Depending on how much I put in that mix. So that can go a lot of nice places. On the other side, I'll put the black. I'm going to try to do this left-handed. And no, that's not going to work. That gives us a deeper purple. All right. So what I'm going to do here is to squirt a little bit more purple over here. I think I'm going to squirt a little bit more purple over here. And a little bit more purple over there. So we can see a variety in the mixes. I usually do complete swatches, but I think for this, you get the idea. That we can get to a very deep purple with adding the black. As we spread out. And a very light one with the white. And then some nice ones in between. All right. With this mix, we can also, of course, do a gray, which we can use on our own, and we can do different degrees of gray depending on how much white we add and how much black we add. Okay, but that can be used by itself or it can be mixed in with that. Same thing on the other side. All right, now let's try to go into our teal. Put some white on this side. I think I'm getting smarter with this. And the more white we add in that, the more turquoisey aqua we're going to get, which I think is really pretty. Really pretty. And as I pull it out, you'll see that. Okay. And all the colors that can go in between would be some of these. Pretty, right? And then with black, we're not going to go so far because this is a dark color, but I'm going to spread the green a little bit further over here. So you can see that. And then I'll bring a little bit of black into that. I think this one's better. That seems to have a little white on it. No matter. It'll just give us, rather than a pure kind of dead black, it'll give us a little bit more with the teal in it. Which I really like. And you can see that out here. as opposed to a pure teal. Or Viridian over here. Okay? And then if we do, eventually when we do get into this, then you're going to see like the most beautiful celeries. And now this gets very, very yellow, which is pretty cool, I think. So it's going to spread into a really bright electric yellow without having to use a neon color. Okay, and you'll see how when that combines with these other ones, it makes them a bit electrifying as well. I'm going to put a little bit more of this over here. Remember to wipe this off. Add a little black to it. And we get some real cool colors in between here. Real nice greens. Of course, if we add white to that, we're going to get a really nice olive. Really nice olive. That's not quite so yellow because it's been blackened. So we have a nice variety. That's what I like about that color. So I'm going to use that color as our yellow. Okay. Now, what do we have room for? Let's see. Hello, teal. Hello, magenta. Look at that purple. I like that purple. If I add a little white to the purple side, you'll see a really beautiful lavender start to form. A lavender blue. It's almost like a light blue, right? So now we have a light blue in our mix as well. Okay, and again, the degrees can vary depending on how much teal, how much purple. Up at the top, I'm going to put a little bit more purple in the mix and mix them. Add a little bit of white. More teal, heavier on the teal. And some black. when it's really mixed in, gives us another form of that or that, but it's not quite as dead of a color. And if you add a little bit of white to that, you're going to get a really nice, cool, almost gray-green. Look at the difference between that and that, right? Really, really nice. So in here, we've predominantly made them into greens. Let's see if we just interrupt a little bit, go a little bit more purple varieties. The teal is so strong. I shouldn't keep calling it teal because it's actually Viridian. But that gets us yet again another, I want it to be more purpley than that. So I have to add more than you would too. That's pretty. And you see it's different than that. It's more purple. All right, it's really pretty. Yeah. But you can see that if any of these overlap, you're still going to get some cool colors, and they're all going to work together in varying degrees. All right, well, these are all just, I just think, just absolutely gorgeous colors that you can get. And you can make it really warm once you start to add the yellow in there. But we'll try to go this way with this, because this is really going to affect things. I'm going to put the purple on this side. Look at that. See how intense that gets? And much warmer. It's a really cool color. Isn't that really different than that? It's almost like a red. Almost made a red. Right? I love that. You know how much I love that. I always say that, don't worry, it's just paint. Nobody dies unless you eat it. Then you're going to have a problem using it. So don't do that at home. All right, so let's see. If we go this way with the teal, myself so excited over here. And that teal is going to be strong. You know why? Because it's what you call a staining color. So I'm going to spread that out a little bit. I'm going to have to add a whole lot more of this to overpower it. Because teal is what? A staining color. Look at that. it just wants to come to the surface. So the thing about it is that it stains down and up from underneath. So now we've got like a really, really bright green. Look how different that is from the pure teal. Right? That's like a green. This is a lot of colors. And of course, we can add black and white to these. Since this is dark, I'm not going to go too much into the black, although you definitely can. But I think we could probably get a really cool pink. Let's see. That's really nice. And again, it can be varying degrees depending on how much of the red you have in there in the mix. But that's another really nice color, and it looks nice next to that. So we have some really nice pastel colors going for us too. And this is almost becoming, this red almost was becoming like a burnt sienna. What would that look like if we mixed it with this? I'll just try putting the blue in there. I mean the white. Right now we have like a neon green. Look how different that is compared to that. That's very minty. And that was just the Viridian mixed with the green gold and white. This is a lot of colors. A lot of fun. And so on and so forth into the day. And now we're getting kind of a beige. Which is nice too. It's a little too dry. Let me get some of that. I might need to take a paintbrush out now. So let me see. There we go. That's a nice beigey pink. Different than that, see? It's very beige. Very beige. Just mixing the teal with green gold and magenta. And white. Lots of white. All right. Let's see what else we can spread out here. I'm not sure if I'll be able to pick these up, but it's pretty nice colors. That we can get. That's with a lot of water added to it. not full strength. Look at all these greens. I don't even know where to start with these. I'm going to go for this. Minty green. I guess I could do a purpley green. If I do a glaze, and that's what you call a glaze, because that's dry. So when I put purple over that, I get a glaze. It's just confusing. You got to get into it to learn it. But I think that is a lot of color. All right, I mean, that amazes me. That blows my mind. I love this pink. I wouldn't have thought that by making these colors, if I never even discussed that we could have a palette like that. Look how pretty that looks next to that, next to those greens. Or next to that. Isn't that beautiful? I think those are really beautiful. All right. So I hope you're taking notes. And yeah, we used these colors, okay? Viridian, white, black, and fluorescent purple, along with green gold. Okay, and I'll squirt that little bit of that in there so you see it. Right? Good job. Okay. So I'm going to move this. I'm losing some room, so I'm going to put it on the floor for myself, I think. And I have this little piece of paper here. And I can't wait to just make a big mess because I'm not going to think about my mixes on here. I think what I'll do is I'll just mix on the page. So there's mixing on the palette, which you definitely can do with a bigger palette. You can mix in that. I'm not going to do that. Because I never get too scientific, as you know. But there's plenty of people that will be very scientific, and you can watch their videos. But if you're the kind of person who likes to dive in and do random, then I invite you to like my videos. Please ring the bell and share it. Okay? And you're going to get nothing but real from me. Because a lot of times I'm just flying by the seat of my pants and learning along with you. In fact, I think that's the way I started my whole YouTube channel, was like, let's learn together. And I used a palette knife for the first time and, you know, made all my mistakes in public. But, you know, if I'm not brave and don't get over my stuff, then, you know, I don't know if that will encourage you to be brave. I don't think these are even either. But the reveal will still be pretty. Okay. So I'm going to pull this back up one more time. It's very wet and gloppy. So you can look at all these colors we can use. All right. I'm going to use my paintbrush. And I might mix in here. Now, I'm just going to add a little bit more of all these colors. I don't have my screen on. Hold on 1 second. I gotta get my screen on. Okay, so then I can see what you see. I'm just getting used to all my new technology. Now what's cool about this is if I put too much paint in here, it'll stay wet for days. I can put a top on it. I don't have to, but I do have tops, of course, for my Chinese food containers. And I'm going to mix all this stuff and it's going to get all, you know, mushy in here because it's not a real big area to mix. But I think I have to use this teal because I was running out of Viridian. Don't want to say that word. Or phthalo you can use. And I'm going to use my paintbrush now. And I'm not really thinking whether I'm going to go here or there. Maybe I'll use my grease pencil and activate the space. Sometimes it just kind of gives me an area. If I want to leave a white edge, then I'll leave a white edge. If I want to go all the way out, I will. We'll see. The rules are there are no rules now. We're just going to play with these colors and hopefully I won't make a hash out of it. So I think in mixing this, I might put a lot of white in first. I like to do that sometimes. And if I put some white down, this is mixed media paper, by the way. I don't want to add too much water. This is Strathmore 400 mixed media paper. It's pretty good. I actually really like the Arteza, or Arteza, depending on how you say it. It's mixed media paper, and they also have these big journals that are book-like, and I just like to make art right in them. So let's see. I'm going to go for this purple. Since I already have white in here, I'm going to go to some kind of lavender. Unless I find a spot where I didn't get too much white or it dried. The gouache dries very, very quickly. Okay. Now I'm going to put some teal in there. The teal will be strong, or the Viridian will be very strong. So, but when it's mixed with the lavender underneath it, cools it down a bit, although it is a cool green. All right. And that makes some really nice purples. So I'm mixing those right in my little palette. It's good to use different brushes sometimes too, because then you'll do different strokes. I think I'll do that at the end. All right. See what happens when we start throwing in some of this. Ooh. Look at that. mix everything too. That's nice. And if I mix that with that, I'm going to get that really pretty gray green that I like. Right, I want to go with that. I'm tempted to go right in the middle, but maybe I'll change direction a little bit. And I'll come in this way and that way. Go up that way a little bit. Then maybe I'll go back in and see what happens when I get some stronger purple in here. And just let it mix in here. I think that's really pretty. I don't want a big hole in the middle, so I'm not sure which color I'm going to let dominate yet. But it's ready. It's scratching it now too. But it's a very pleasing color palette, and if you want to spend a lot of time with it, I know you could just do a really awesome series of paintings, and it just depends on what you have dominate. You know, if you have purple dominate, then that's going to happen. If you want to go for that really warm pink that we had, we can do that. I need to do a whole series of these, to really max out on it. And I'm not sure if I can max out on it, which is even more fun. I know I don't want all my shapes to be the same size, and I don't want them to, well, let me try to use a different brush. Use a pointy brush. This is relatively new, so maybe what I'll do is I'll just go for, you know, plain old black. Plain old black. Let's see. Ooh. Picking up the color because it's wet. So I gotta be careful. So that's gonna kind of dictate where I can go with that black and still keep it black. It's going to gray already. But that's okay, that's pretty too. I really like that color there. Let's see. I think I should let things dry in between some of this, as you can see. But we're going to go from 0 to 100 really fast here, so that you can get on and really have some time to play and fully enjoy and explore this. So I would say that this is purple dominant, this one. I did one the other day. You can see it on Instagram. That is mostly green dominant and turquoise. Made a lot of turquoise colors. But since this is so wet, that turquoise probably isn't going to stand out. But I'll just try to little dabs that'll do us here to introduce that kind of continuity. because if I try to mix it in, it's going to pick up the color underneath it. And I don't think it's going to stay pure. Oh, there it is. That's staying pure. Look at that. That's that gives me goosebumps. I think I want it to be cooler than that. So I'm just going to try to get that green gold out of there and go more for this with a little purple in it. I get myself a really nice aqua color. Aqua, 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 aqua. Don't use those marks that we made. Maybe lighten them up. But again, this is very wet. If you wait and you're patient, you don't have to worry about that happening. Okay? I think I'm going to go this way also, just to undo some of the monotony in the way the shapes are forming. I really wish I had a hair dryer. So, say, wonder if I do white around the edge, if I can sort of blend in and out. Try it. This isn't so white, but let's see. I don't want to pull too much of it in. So I'm essentially trying to paint in between some of these things. But I can change the geography a little bit. Break that up. So it's not so much of a tossed salad. And that's what I named my other thing. I named it Greek salad. You see what I'm doing is I'm taking the white and I'm going in around the edges, because I'm taking a look at my negative space now, the space around the main event, and I'm making decisions that I think may make it more interesting and pleasing. Maybe that would be good to be separated. I don't know. That would need another coat of that. But it's very forgiving, and you can just keep going over and over and over and make it very, very thick. And you don't have to leave any space on the edges if you don't want to. And you can really, really do a nice mix. That's really standing out now. So I think I need to respond to it someplace else. Maybe here. But I don't think it would hurt to go in there and break it up a little bit. Kind of pull some of that lavender off the page. The mixed media paper doesn't love too much water, and that's what's happening. So I have to get a little bit heavier on the paint, but again, it's still all wet compared to the moisture of the paint, as well as the moisture of what I'm picking up on my brush when I dip it. If you want to brighten it up, you can maybe move from, green to the gray to that purple or teal. Or you can get a lot more of that blue. It just depends on your aesthetic. And some people would look at this and not actually like that yellow so much. I had some pretty harsh remarks. Well, one. Another one that I did, but I was working with neon, so I really was pushing it toward neon. But if I want to cool it down and I can push it back toward the green and the turquoise again. You get the idea. This is the best brush for that. Let's see, even though we overlap, we get all those pretty grays, green grays, yellow grays. They all will work together without making a hash. It's just a matter of what you want to let dominate. And waiting, all right? I think someone's trying to call me. No, I don't know why Siri's on, but no. How'd that happen? Okay. So anyway, all right. I can put details in once it dries. I can do some black marker. I can do probably a little bit of scraping right now with my grease marker. but it would be better to wait. And use your white marker or your black marker or even graphite to enhance it and start to pull other things out. Or you can go in with your crayon d'arche as well. So let's make a reveal, all right? It's just a start, but it's really an introduction to these colors. And I think you can make some gorgeous florals with this as well. It all depends whether you paint abstractly or you like florals or you like very geometric work. If you like to do a lot of mark making and doodles, you got a really great ground to do that on. And I'm going to turn that around for you. It's kind of pretty, right? And I think once it dries, I will try to make do a shot and add it on to the end of this video. All right? All right. So, is that me? There I am. I love you. May the Lord bless you and keep you and make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May he lift up his countenance upon you and give you his peace.